Hello everyone, hope that you all are doing good. So I get a lot of questions that how we can make a particular functionality in a bus reservation system project that we made previously, right? So it consists of 5 videos wherein a complete playlist has been available. So I'll put the link in the description. If you haven't watched it, do watch it. It is a full length project that we have made on Spring Boot using Java and some other functionality of sending the email and generating the ticket and all that. So I get a lot of queries that if I want to add this functionality to this project, how will I do it? How to enhance your project? So this video is for you. So we are back with again bus reservation system. Before jumping into the video, but before that, I would like to request you that your support is very much needed for me to make videos and to keep myself motivated. Please support the channel by like, share and comment, and if new to the channel, please subscribe the channel. Let's get back to the work. So I'll make 2 functionalities in bus reservation system. One is feedback for the user, right? There would be a screen of user can give the feedback to the application, right? And the other one would be the functionality to delete the bus record if the bus is not available now, right? Basically the functionalities are very simple, right? I want to make you learn that how you yourself can enhance your project and make functionalities that you want, right? So let's get started. I'm on my ID, right? I've already taken the project from the Git, right? Bus reservation system complete project, and also imported in the ID. So we'll first make a feedback functionality, right? So first, before jumping into how we can design, how we can code, let's analyze that if we are making a feedback functionality, what we require in a project, right? So first of all, there would be a screen where the user can record the feedback, right? So there would be a screen, there would be an HTML for a feedback form, right? And then that feedback form will get open from some page, right? So I am assuming that the person can give feedback from the user dashboard, right? Not from the admin dashboard, from the user dashboard. So there should be a button of feedback on the user dashboard, which he clicks, and then the feedback form is open. Now if he enters few details, like he enters his email ID or the star rating, how many points he gives to for the rating, and then if he has any comment for the application, what needs to be improved or everything is okay, right? So that comment needs to be captured. So there would be a separate table for feedback, right? We can't mix it with the user table. We need a separate table for feedback. So there would be a model also for a feedback, right? And now as I always say that we don't need to expose our model to the UI. So we need to make a DTO also to transfer the data from UI to our tables, right? And then we need a feedback controller, right? You can make it in a admin controller as well, but in the dashboard controller as well, but I would suggest that you keep the feedback controller separate because it's a new functionality. So I'll make it from the scratch, right? So now let's start by first constructing the model class, right? So let's go and one more thing that I missed: if we are making a model class, then we need a repository as well to interact with the table, right? So we need a separate repository for feedback as well. So now let's start by simply going to the model package, and so we need few fields, right? So let me make a field first of ID, right? And then we need the rating, right? So let me declare it as a int only, right? And then we need a email ID, right? Email ID of the user, and then we need the take it as a username, right? Or name of the user, right? And then we need comments, right? So we need comments from the user. So these are the fields that I require, right, in my project for feedback, right? So now as this is a model, right, we need a table as well in the database. We'll mark this as an entity and a table, right? So we need table, and then we'll give the name as name right? Name equals, we'll give feedback only, right? So this is my table. Now so now what I have to do is we have to mark our ID. So I'll mark the ID as @ID, and we need the generated value. In that we need strategy equals generation type dot auto, right? So our IDs would be automatically generated, right? So these are our fields. Now I'll simply make a constructors, right? The getters and setters, sorry, not constructors, getters and setters. So let's go to the source and let's generate getters and setters, right? So we'll mark all the fields and let's generate it. So right, our getters and setters are also generated. Our feedback model is ready. Now what simply we can do is we can copy these fields, right? We can copy from rating till comments, right? And these fields can go into DTO, right? So let's open the DTO package and let me create a class here. Let's say feedback DTO, right? So this is my feedback DTO, right? We don't need to mark this as anything, just we need to put these fields and we need to generate the getters and setters, right? So let me now create the getters and setters for this. So let's go into source and let's generate getters and setters, right? So let me generate this, right? So now our DTO object is also ready and feedback is also ready, right? So now what we can do is we can simply we'll go to the repository, right? Now we'll generate a repository also. So we need a feedback repository. So what we can do is we can simply say new and interface, and we can say feedback repo, right? Feedback repo, and it will extend JPA repository, right? And here we need the feedback entity, right? So we need the feedback entity, and in place of ID we need integer, right? So we need integer. Now nothing we need to write, right? We'll use the default methods of JPA repository. So now we have made our model, we have made our DTO, we have made our repository. Now let's make our controller, right? Now the fourth thing that we need is a controller, right? So let's go into the controller package and let's simply right click and let's say class, and we'll say feedback controller, right? So we'll write the code first and then we'll test it, right? So feedback controller. Now we need a feedback controller, so we need to mark this as a controller, right? So mark this as a controller, right? And you can even give the mapping as well, right? So mapping, if required, you can give it. If not, no, it's not necessary, right? It's not necessary to give the mapping. Now let's assume, now let's analyze it, that from where this feedback page will open. So we need a button on the HTML of user dashboard where the person can click on the feedback button and the feedback button would open, right? And then when the feedback button would open, it will display the HTML to the user. So now how will that HTML be displayed? First, what we can do is first we can define that way from where the feedback HTML will open. So let's first open the HTML part, right? So let me take you to resources and then templates, and then we need to open feedback from dashboard HTML, right? So I can put a button here. So I am saying that, okay, like my booking, like log out, there should be a button for feedback as well. So copy this div, right? I'll tell you a simple way that how you can enhance your projects with your own functionalities, right? So you can copy this div completely and simply place this div before under this, right? And now it says my booking, but we need to open the feedback page. So we'll say feedback, right? the mapping that I have given in the feedback controller. So you can see this mapping feedback. So this is the mapping that we have given on the controller. Now now we need to define this button as a feedback button, right? So it is saying my bookings, but you need to define it as a feedback button. So when our dashboard HTML is being displayed to the user, so now we have the feedback button right here. I have changed the margin left to -132, right, to make it in display, right, in a particular display that the button could not be out of the scope. It is inline in the HTML, right? So now our button of feedback is ready. So now when the person lands on the dashboard, he can see 3 buttons. One is of my bookings, the other one is of feedback, and the third one is of logout. So now when he clicks on feedback, so a get mapping call should go, right? A feedback call will come here, right? It will land on this controller. We need to return HTML, and we'll say string feedback form, right? Feedback form. And what we can do, simply we can add model here, right? So we need input from user. So we have added model here, and we need to return a string here, right? So now when the feedback form will open, right? So if you go back to your DTO or maybe the model class, you can see here is what all fields we have taken here: rating, email ID, name, comments, right? So these things. Now if you notice that we have email ID and name, say to a user that you have logged in already in the application, and you again put your email ID and name in the form of feedback, then I guess the user will get irritated, right? So we need that our email ID and name is pre-filled, right? So I'll copy the method of generating the that we have already done in previous controllers as well. Let me go to admin controller. So we'll do it in a different manner. We'll do it like this, right? So I have taken the now we need a user repository as well, right? So first let me import things, and then I'll declare a user repository as well. So right, we have done it. Now what I can do is we can simply say auto wired, right? And we can say user repository, and we can say user repo, right? I guess user repo is the name. No, it's user repository. So let me name it as like this only. So now this will return my user email ID and email ID and name to the user, right? What we have taken is we have taken the email ID and name from the security context, right? So now simply what you can do is we need to display all these things on the feedback form, right? We'll make the feedback form later when we will be designing our HTML. So what you can do is you can simply add model dot add attributes, right? Add attributes, or rather what I can do is we should simply declare a feedback DTO, right? Feedback DTO equals new feedback DTO, right? So this is my feedback DTO, and what we can say is DTO dot set email ID as, we can call this method return username dot, we can say get, and what is the key for email ID, we can simply say email, right? So we can put this in double quotes. So what it will do is it will call this method, and from the return of map it will find this value of email and will fill it into this DTO, right? And then another call would be of DTO dot set name, and here we can simply copy the above statement and place it again, and we can simply rename this as name, right? So here we have added in the map as name as user dot username, right? So now name and email ID are pre-filled in the DTO. So we need to send a object, right, to UI that describes the feedback DTO. So you can simply say feedback, and you can enter the DTO value here. Also we need to display the name of the user on the page, so we can also add attribute, and we can simply say user details, and I can add this name here, right? I can take this value from here and I can put it here, right? So this user detail is being used to display the user on the top of the HTML, right? So this is the key that has been used there. So now our get mapping, that is the display controller, is ready. But now we need to return the feedback HTML. So let me return the feedback HTML. So now with this name, I want to make an HTML as well. So let me go in the HTML part. Let me click on templates and let me right click and new and file, right? So file is feedback.html, right? So now this is my feedback. So this is my complete feedback HTML, right? I have copied the code and pasted here. So here what we are doing is, as I said, that this is the user details used to get the value of the username to display on the HTML, and then we have a dashboard button and a logout button for the user, right? And then in the form that is displaying the data, so you can see that I have the name and I have name with the value name, so it will be pre-filled, right? And you can see that I have marked this as read only, so you can't edit this value. So the email ID will also be auto populated. Then the rating value you have to provide, and then the comments you have to provide, and there is a submit button. And on this submit button, what will be called, it will be a post mapping, right? So if you go on the form, and what it says is that a post mapping of /feedback will be called. So post mapping of /feedback we need to define in the controller, right? So let's define in the controller, and what we can simply say is, let me copy this method and let me paste it, and let me say @post mapping. So now you can see that now we are getting the data from UI. So you can say save feedback, right? So we are getting back data from the UI, and now we need to save it. So what we can simply define as model attribute, right? Model attribute, and you need to tell that what type of what will be the key of the data that has been supplied. So the key will be, you go into the HTML and you can see here is that this is the key, right? So this is the object that we are sending. So this is the object. Let me paste this here. And what type of an object it would be? It would be a feedback DTO, right? So it will be a feedback DTO, and yes, right? So this is a feedback DTO, right? So now what you have to do is, you have to convert this DTO to a entity, and then you need to save the data to the database. And then after saving, you have to actually tell it to the user that your feedback is being recorded and your HTML page. So let me copy paste the code and let me explain you. So now what we have done here is, in the post mapping, we are simply getting a feedback DTO, and then from this feedback DTO I am making a feedback object, and then we are saving that feedback object to using our repository method, and then we are simply returning a success message on the same feedback HTML, right? So this is how you can save the feedback data into the database, right? So now the complete functionality, as I told you, that first what is being needed, what we analyzed is that the user would be going on the dashboard, and on the dashboard a button of feedback would be visible to him. He'll click on the feedback, a feedback HTML would be displayed. So we need a feedback HTML. We need to put that button on the dashboard HTML, and we need to make a feedback HTML. And then for that feedback HTML to store and to display that feedback HTML, we need to write some controller calls. So we made feedback controller. Then for storing the data into the database, we need the feedback model and feedback DTO. Feedback DTO to take the data from the UI and to make the feedback object. And then to save the feedback object, we need a feedback repository. So you see that how we have made classes, right? We analyze that for this particular small functionality of feedback, what all things are being required, and then step by step we made it, and then our code part is complete. I'll run the code part later on. First, let's discuss the second part. The second part was that how you can delete the bus record. So the complete CRUD is not being there, right? You have selected your record to book your data, but you haven't deleted the data in this project. So we can do that also. So let's jump to the admin controller, right? So what the functionality is saying, that you need a page, right? In the when the user admin user login into the system, so admin user can see a button of all records, right? When he clicks on all records, a table would be displayed to the user, right? When a table is being displayed to the user has an authority to delete any bus data if not present, right? So when the bus data is being deleted, it is being completely deleted from the database, right? So let's start by I have the code. I'll copy paste the code into the controller and I'll explain everything, right? So let's go to the admin controller. So you can see that here we are simply displaying the user admin screen, right? So first what we need is, if we analyze it, that we need to have a button of all records, right? So let me go to admin screen and before the logout button, let me put this div, and this is our admin screen all records, right? I have marked this button as admin screen all records. This is a button of all records, right? So you can see that this is a button of all records. So now when the user is on the admin screen, he can see a button of all records. When he clicks on it, an HTML will get open. So HTML, let's make the HTML of all records, right? Or rather first make a controller call. So let me go to the admin controller itself, and we can simply make a get call, right? So we can make a get mapping call. So to display the HTML, what we have done here is we have simply made a get call, right? So let me import the things, right? So now you can see here is that we have the bus data repository, and we already had a bus data table, right, wherein we were storing all the bus data that has been inputted by the admin, right? So now what I am doing here is, when the call is on all records, so what will happen, it will fetch all the data from the database and put it into the model using the add model attribute, and return the all records HTML, wherein a model object would be there to display the data, right? So now if I save this, and now let's design the HTML now, so that we are clear with what we want to display, right? So now as we are returning all records, so we need to copy this and let's make an HTML here. So I'll paste the HTML code that I have already made. So what it has been displaying here is that you can simply see that we are landed on this page. It has a backtrack URL that, okay, if we are on the delete page of the data, right? If we are on all records data, and if we have done with the delete, now we have to go back to our dashboard, right? The admin has to go back to the dashboard. So a provision of /admin screen has been given to him. So when the /admin screen has been called, so it goes to the admin controller. Admin controller has /admin screen call, and it will display the admin screen HTML to him, right? Now then we have the logout button for the user, right? Then what I have done is, we have simply made a simple form wherein we have the admin screen all records mapping, and we have when the data is being submitted after delete, a post call is being done, right? So what we have done is, we have simply made a table here. It's a basic HTML that I have used here. So we have all the data of the user, and we are simply iterating on the data, and we are displaying the data to the user. Now you can see here is that I have made a delete call with the ID this, right? When this button is being clicked, again it will go to the admin controller, and on the admin controller it should have this call /admin/ID, right? When this ID is being supplied to this method, this our method will search data with this particular ID and delete that data into the database, right? So let's now, HTML part is also done. Let's go to the admin controller, and so now I have to get the delete done, right? So I have the ID, so I simply have to delete the data, right? So what I am getting here is a path variable as an ID, and then I have the model. Now when the data is being deleted, I have to redirect the user on the same screen only with a message that okay, the data that you wanted to delete is being deleted now. Right now it's your choice. You have to stay on the all record screen or you have to go back to the admin screen. So what I have done here is simply we have found out that first I have deleted the data with that particular ID. Then again I have found out that data, all the data from the database which has been left after delete, and then I am simply returning the HTML of all records with the success message. So the success messages are handled in the HTML itself. So you can see here itself that I have said that okay, if the success is coming, you have to display that the record deleted successfully, right? So now our admin controller part has also been done. So both the functionalities, one of feedback was a separate functionality. That's why we made controllers separately. We made DTOs and everything. For the deletion of bus data, we already had a bus data model. We already had a bus data table in our databases. So we can simply work on that, right? So now let me first run the application by connecting it to the database. So now I am on my database. Let me define a database. So let me define a database with name as bus booking, right? So I'll define a database, and what I have to do is I have to go into the property file for connecting it with the database. So I have entered my username, password, and the name of the database. So now let's go to the main application and let's start the application, right? So I'll show you how our functionalities are working, right? So now let me start. So my application has started. So let's first go to the browser and let's say localhost registration, right? So first we'll register a user and we'll see the feedback functionality, and then thereafter we'll run the delete functionality. But before registering it, what is the prerequisite? That you have to go into the schema, go into the tables, right? Go into your tables and simply enter your roles, right? So what roles are you looking for, right? What all roles are present in your application. So you need to have an insert script for your roles, and the role is admin, right? Let me run this query, and the ID2 is my user, right? So now this is prerequisite. As you say that white label error is there, so you need to enter these roles into your table, right? So now I'm on registration. Let me refresh it, and now I'm on registration page. Let me enter now I'm on my registration page. Let me enter my name. Let me say Ramanpreet, right? And my email ID and password as 12345 and role as user, right? I am not an admin right now, I am a user. So let me register it. So as we have already registered our user, let me try to log in, right? So this is my email ID and my password is this. So now on my dashboard screen, you can see that I have a button of my bookings, feedback button, and a logout button. So let me click on feedback button. So now the thing that I told you, that the name and email ID should be pre-filled for the user. So you can see that name and email ID are pre-filled and you can't edit it. So let's put the rating out of it. So it's 10 out of 10, and let me say great application, right? And let me submit it. So you can see that your feedback is being recorded. It's a message that your feedback is being recorded. So where you can go and check your feedback is from feedback table, right? So if you go and you say that okay, I want to select the table, right? So it will show you that how the feedback has been recorded into the database. The ID of the entry into the feedback is 2. The comment was great application. Email ID of the user was this. Name of the user was this, and the rating was of 10, right? So this is how you can record the feedback of the user, right? And you can also see that the message is also be displayed that your feedback has been recorded. Now the user can simply go back to the dashboard after giving feedback or log out from the application. Now what we have to do is we have another functionality that we have made here is of the deletion of the data. So let me put another name, Raman, and let me put another email ID, right? And I will say 1 2 3 4 5, and I'll declare my user as admin, right? So it is raman@gmail.com and the password is 12345. Let me register it. So the user has been registered, right? So I would say raman@gmail.com and the password was 12345, right? When we log in, so you can see here is that we have a button of all records and a logout button, right? So we can enter the records of bus data from here and then we can go to the all records. So right now we don't have any bus data present, so let me add 2-3 data. So let me go from New Delhi to Mumbai, and the date for this could be 19, and then the price for this ticket could be 1100 Volvo, and the timing could be like 11:07 a.m. right in the morning, right? So let me upload it. Now I have another data, so we can say like Mumbai to Goa of 28th, price is 5,000, bus name is Bombay Special, and the time is 12:09 a.m. right? So let me upload this data as well. So now if I click on all records, all data should be displayed to the user, right? So let me click on all records. So now you can see that all the data that I entered, one was the New Delhi to Mumbai and the other one was Mumbai to Goa, right? So the time is there, the name of the bus is there, and the price is there. And the action item has been a delete button, right? So when we click on this delete button, a call would be gone with this particular ID. So if we go to the table, and if I simply go in the reservation table, and if we see that there is data, so there is data for bus, right? So one is with the ID 4, another one is with the ID 5. So if I click on delete of this item, that is Mumbai to Goa, so the ID for this is Mumbai to Goa. From destination is Mumbai and the to destination is Goa, right? So the ID for this is 5, then the fifth item will get deleted, right? I'll refresh it. So let me click on delete for this item. So yes, you can see that the record has been deleted successfully, and again that data has been displayed to you. So if we refresh the database as well, so let me run the query again. So the data has been deleted and your only one entry is being left, that is Volvo Special, right? That is from New Delhi to Mumbai, right? And same as the data has been displayed here. So this is how you can implement the functionalities, and now you can simply go to the dashboard, or even you can log out from the application, right? So this was it from this particular video. I just wanted to tell you that how you people can enhance your functionalities, right? So you don't need to go much deeper into it. Just you need to analyze it, that what all things would be required. A model, a table would be required or not, a repository would be required or not, a HTML is required or not. So just think that in your mind and you start building the enhancement for your project. So this was it from this video. Hope that you people like, share and comment on the video, and support the channel by subscribing it. If new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Hope to see you in the next video. Till then, happy learning.